Howdy, and welcome back to Primate Happy Hour. We're in our second episode of this channel, so I hope we're still holding on. I'm trying to release material as soon as I can. I hope everyone had a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Toyota-thons, Happy Honda Days. And if you don't celebrate anything, I at least hope that you got some time off because 2020 was a rough year and everyone deserves some time off. So I'm excited to be back. We're ready for the second video. Tonight's episode is sponsored by Rum Chata, nice little coffee mix. It's delicious, I'm turnt, and we're ready to go. So this species that we're going to be doing today, we're just going to do one. It's going to be based off of, I don't know if anyone's been watching the HBO show, His Dark Materials, but one of the main characters, her demon, is a golden snub-nosed monkey. And so that made me want to do this episode. So today's episode is going to be based on the golden snub-nosed monkey. And so the scientific term for this, or the scientific name, is going to be Rhinopithecus roxellana. And so we want to break down that first word, Rhinopithecus. So rhino means nose in Latin, and then pithecus is ape-like. So together it's a nose, and they have a very unique nose, obviously hence the name snub-nosed monkey, and they're very ape-like. This species is very beautiful. Their fur is like a nice bright orange, a nice little like yellow tint. I'll put a picture down in the corner of the video if I figure out how to do it, so we shall see. But yeah, so these monkeys are found in the mountainous regions of southwestern China, and their range extends as far as the Gansu province. And so they live in carnivorous, that is not the word, conifer forest. And they're usually high up, so elevations go from 1,600 to 4,000 meters high above sea level. So they're in a very unique location. They're actually one of the few primate species that live in temperate zones. And so when I say temperate zone, that just means the weather drastically differs. So if you think about it, the closer you are towards like the equator, you're going to have normal temperatures, so the ranges are going to be drastically different within a day even. Where within temperate zones in the summertime and the hotter seasons, it can be drastically hot, and then once winter comes, we can see negative degrees. And so that's what I mean by temperate zone. And so with these species, we're going to have it where they have a unique nose that has no protruding nasal bones. And so that's hence the name snub-nosed. So it's kind of just flat. They just kind of have holes in their face. So it's very different. Honestly, the best way to describe it is if anyone's seen the new Weekend video, those like lips and plastic surgery fused with Michael Jackson's nose. So honestly, you know what? 2021, we're here, even though you're like a 2020 part 2. I'm going to propose that we rename this species to like Rhinopithecus Michael Jacksonus. Rhinopithecus Rhinopithecus The Weekendus. Rhinopithecus Blinding Lights, or whatever the new music video is for. Honestly, I don't really know, so we shall see. But think about that. Imagine like a monkey getting plastic surgery. That's what this species looks like. So the idea that they have no protruding nasal bones, the thought behind this is that it might prevent them from getting frostbite. And so that's kind of one of the reasons that's hypothesized, a theory about it. But to be honest, there's no real evidence. There's no like reason why for sure that this feature evolved in Rhinopithecus genus. So it's not just the roxellana. Most of the Rhinopithecus, again, that nose ape-like is going to be within that species, or genus, is going to have this. So they are sexually dimorphic, both in size and hair color. So remember, whenever we hear sexually dimorphic, that just means that between the males and females of the species, the males are generally going to be larger. It can be opposite, but within primates, we're more than likely going to see that the female or the male is larger. And so with here, males can weigh up to 20 kilograms and the females up to 14 kilograms. And so somewhere I've read a few places that they kind of describe it as the males being twice the size of females, which is ridiculous. Like imagine if for a heterosexual normativity, we'll go with it, But imagine every husband, his wife was half his size. Like, ridiculous. So, you know, whatever, but that's how it is. And so, besides the size difference, it's actually kind of hard to tell the difference between like subadult males versus sexually mature adult males. The only real way to describe it is that adult males are going to have longer guard hairs and they're bulkier in the body, so they've been going to the gym. In the words of Fergalicious, I be up in the gym just working on my fitness. He's my wit. But anyway, anyways, the males are going to be much larger, and so the adult males are going to have this large cape. And when I mean cape, if you think about like shoulder hair, dorsal hair kind of hanging down, that's what I mean when I say guard hair. And so that's just going to be a lot longer, and they're going to be bulky. So that's how you'll see the actual like full adult males versus the sub-adult males. As far as color-wise, which I kind of already described it a little bit, but both males and females are going to have a golden belly, forehead, and neck. So the difference becomes within the fur are that the males are more of a grayish black, and the females are going to be a brownish black. So it's a slight difference. It's not like, if you remember from last episode, we talked about the Lar gibbon and the white-cheeked gibbon. And so both of those, the male and female, are like drastic. Like one was a buff or a cream color versus that dark brown. So here it's still going to be a golden color, but it's going to be mixed in within that. And so that's kind of the description of them. We know where they live. We know how much they weigh. Don't ever ask me how much I weigh, but we'll leave that to be. This is actually a pretty unique species. So with this one, we don't know a lot of, I mean, we know enough, but not a huge lot, just because of where they live, how high up in the mountains they are, the different extreme temperatures. Like, I think on one, like Planet Earth or something, there was brief little clips on this species, and the winters are drastically different. So I don't know about y'all, but I will not be going to the winters in these Chinese mountainous regions, freezing my butt off to research. I love to research, so I'm glad to do field work, but not there. But side tangent. Oh, this is so strong, you guys. It's like 90% rum chata. I'm so sorry. So back to Rhinopithecus roxellana, or again, the golden snub-nosed monkey. There are several names. You might just hear them referred to as the golden monkey, and there's a few other like common names for them, but for this I'm just going to call them a golden monkey or golden snub-nosed monkey. But so the lifespan of this species in the wild is kind of unknown. And that, again, because the records, this note-taking, the experiments, the research done is very just minute, very like Darth of research. Did I use that word right? Who knows? But within captivity, they usually live about to 23 to 26 years. And so, I mean, that seems a short time compared to us humans, but if you think about it, I mean, dogs live around like 16, maybe if we're lucky. So that's a pretty relatively long life for a 20 like kilogram, 14 kilogram mammal. And so we're just going to scroll down for notes. I try to remember as much as I can, but the alcohol will be taking over, so you're going to get what we can get. As far as group behavior, so they do travel in groups. They're not like our gibbons where they mainly are just family groups. These are actually large groups. And so they're known as what is called a fission-fusion group behavior. And so this is seen in not too many primate species, but we definitely see it in like chimpanzees. And what this just means is the larger groups, like it's a huge group, but they may break down into different groups. So that fission and fusion. So fusion is going to be these groups coming back together. Fission is if like small little group of individuals leave, but eventually they come back together. And so usually this is thought to be beneficial where maybe resources aren't as abundant. And so they might separate the smaller groups so that way it's not 60 people, 60 individuals looking for food resources. It's 7 or 9. And so some groups in the summer can contain up to 600 individuals, which is ridiculous. Like 600, excuse me? No, ma'am. Stop it. No. But In colder weather, the winter times, the groups can be down to 60 to 70. So that's still quite a few, but that's honestly not too uncommon for this genus just because of the location they live in. And so, as far as mating, they're displaying mate behavior, so they're not necessarily going to be monogamous or socially monogamous like we saw in our gibbon species. This is going to be kind of just popping it off, you know, they promiscuous girls. That's all I'm going to say because one more, and y'all might try to sue me, and I ain't got no money. But so they do display mating behavior year round. So they, you know, popping it off, hitting a crybaby of Megan Thee Stallion. This is a second reference to Megan. If you want to sponsor Primate Happy Hour, email me, please. I'm gonna stop. But so they display that mating behavior year round, but they do have a breeding season. And so the average breeding season, just based off of several research locations, are going to be August to November. So August to November, they try to make babies, and that's the only time usually that they actually produce an offspring. So they may show that mating behavior in January, but usually through August to November is going to be, oh my gosh, I'm slurring, I'm so sorry. But between August and November are when we're going to have that. And so there's a 7-month gestation period, so that's how long they're going to carry the babies, for 7 months. And so I did the math in the head for all you zodiac people. So all, I'm a Capri Sun, rising sun, Capricorn. Like, excuse me, no ma'am. Don't blame your trauma on being a Pisces and a rising Taurus sunlight. I don't even know what that means, but don't do it. But for those people, if you're watching, so that means that there's going to be a lot of Pisces, Aries, Taurus, and Geminis. And so I myself is a Pisces, and so we fire. So there's a lot more Pisces, great species. But for all like that, Taurus and Gemini, I love y'all, but y'all know as much as everyone else knows that y'all Capri Sun rising ain't hitting it. But anyways, moving along, and so that's the only time. So August, November is going to be that breeding period, 7-month gestation, and so mothers provide most of the care in this species. And honestly, that's not too common or not uncommon. And so in New World monkeys, a few will see. Honestly, it doesn't even depend on like that. It's more so paternity certainty. So think about the Maury show. You know, Maury, I'm 97% sure this is my baby father. And then it's never the baby's father. And she runs all the way back. They chase it down with the camera like, oh. But so for here, so the males are usually confident in paternity. So there is usually like one like sexually mating male within a group of females. And so if they're sexually, or if they're confident that they are the father of the infant, they don't feel a responsibility to promote that. Where if there wasn't uncertainty, they would all take care of it to make sure like, hey, you know, this is my child, or maybe my child, so I'm going to take care of them. So the idea that they're confident that every single offspring are going to be their babies, they're less likely to do paternity care, parental care. So it's going to be mainly the female. And so actually I put in here that men ain't shit, and y'all know y'all ain't shit, but the real reason is paternity. And so within this species, unfortunately, I'm going to try to like make up noises, but it's best off if you Google it. And again, because this species isn't necessarily so that popular in research, there's not the best recordings out there. It's only like zoo recordings. But so they are highly vocalized. So male vocalization. Male vocalizations are described as whines, and so these whines is the name of the type of call, and that's usually going to accompany grooming and or eating. And then balls, and that's BAWLS, bowels, not bulls. Don't be. And females are known to do chucks, which is a high stimulation context, and shrills, and that's usually in response to the male's whines. And so the odd part about this, and I found this kind of disturbing when I was doing my research for this species, I kind of got nightmares based off of it because dummies are weird. But so a lot of people will describe their vocalizations as ventriloquist-like, and that's just because their face doesn't necessarily match the noise that they're making. And so, again, I'm just going to guess on these, so don't take my word for it. But if you can find a video, a nice recording of these vocalizations, I'm going to guess a chuck is high stimulation because it's like, is going to be my guess of a chuck. A whine is kind of like, those are drastically different. So, we're just going to move along. That's it. That's fine. Again, gibbons are my favorite. Rhinopithecus roxellana, golden snub-nosed monkey. I learned a lot doing this research for you in this video, so I really hope you guys appreciate it. I really hope you learn a lot about it, especially the people who are fans of the show. It's a really great show. HBO, if you're watching, I could sponsor, I could play your ad. I could put like a little HBO poster behind me, whatever you need. And so, with diets, so let's talk about diets. Their diets are going to correlate with the season, and so in warmer weather, there's going to be much more of an abundance of options like eating leaves, buds, barks, fruit seeds, maybe little insects. I saw a few places that said they do eat insects. That's not me just being extra and drunk. In winter, it's going to be, they're usually just limited to bark and lichen, lichen. It's not lichen. Lichen or lichen. We're going to go with one of those. Final answer. Let's go with it. And so, honestly, that's all that I were able to accomplish within my research, so I really hope you appreciate it. And so, again, I always want to just focus on a few places. And so, within the IUCN, currently this species is listed as endangered. And honestly, again, I said this in the first video, there's going to be a lot of the case. There's going to be a lot of endangered species, critically endangered. Like, we just really need to do better. And so with this species, the golden monkeys are sadly hunted for both their fur and meat and sometimes illegal pet trade. And so it's thought because of these golden colors, these bright colors, their fur is usually used for medicinal preparations. And so, we're, as Americans, as scientists, as anthropologists, as primatologists, you see people doing such what we would describe as terrible things. And I want to be very careful of how I say this. And so I maybe wish I was sober for this. But we have this idea that, as in sense of conservation, we understand that this species is endangered. We want to protect it. We want to save it. But at the same point, you also have to take into consideration that the people who are hunting them are using their fur as medicinal purpose. That's their culture. That's how they were raised. And so we find this impact, and I think this is a huge part, especially within biological anthropology. Anthropology is a very much holistic approach, meaning that they're all different subfields are working together. And I just think it's important to, although we want to conserve and do conservation with a lot of primate species, we shouldn't go over there telling cultures that have been there for centuries, decades, years, how to redo their entire life. Instead, what we want to do is understand them, maybe help them find alternatives, and not necessarily educate them as far, but just let them know, hey, there's this such idea where if you overuse this, you're not going to have enough anymore, and just make them maybe choose alternatives, but also just showing that we're not trying to change them, where we want them just to learn a little bit more, understand things. And so it's I'm not trying to say that they are miseducated, undereducated. Just want to try to find a happy medium where both these people who are using these individual species for medicinal purposes, that's their culture, are not feeling like they're being taken advantage of or that their lives don't matter compared to a non-human primate. Instead, what I'm trying to argue for is both culture and researcher, primatologist, shaman, whatever you name it, just fuse together, work together, and that way we can find a nice happy medium, a nice little compromise where these numbers won't decrease, but maybe, we find a nice healthy alternative for their culture, or a better practice to where it's not necessarily hurting them or the number of the wild population. But that's all I have for you folks, so thank you so much for joining in. I hope you like my shirt. Primate change is real, But, so yeah, so I hope 2021 turns out to be a better year for everyone, for this channel. Thank you guys for joining in. If you haven't already, subscribe, share. Anything is appreciated. It's been real. I hope you guys have learned a lot of information from this video, and I really do appreciate you tuning in. Thank you.